Hi guys, it's me, Sandra, with the Curvy Logic YouTube channel. I am in the hospital. My husband just got his gastric sleeve. Baby, you want to say hey? My baby is joining me on this journey. I am super excited. I apologize for all the movement. I've got this hospital table. But super excited. We are Team Young Love. We do everything together, so it's awesome that he's joining me on this journey. Getting healthy, getting our bodies ready and in shape to hopefully start a family. Because at our weight, it's just too much complications. And then also with me, one of my driving reasons behind having the surgery is to help improve fertility. When you're morbidly obese or super morbidly obese, as well as having polycystic ovarian syndrome, your hormones, your whole body's out of whack, and it's just not only does it cause infertility, or it's a leading contributor to infertility, it also makes it more difficult. If you do get pregnant, you're more at risk for gestational diabetes and preeclampsia for me because of my high blood pressure. There's just so many different factors that can go into creating an unhealthy environment for the baby and me. So we want to make sure that we're healthy, and so that if we, or when we get pregnant, claiming it in Jesus' name, when we get pregnant, the baby has a healthy womb to grow in addition to their external environment. But I actually wanted to talk to you about the whole process. I was going to write a post on this, but it just turned out to be way too long, and this video is probably going to be long. I'll try to speed it up. But so pretty much, a lot of people who are new to the process, they want to know what happens. Well, first you start off with going to an information session, usually where you learn about bariatric surgery. And from there, you make a consultation with the physician. They go over whether or not you're a good candidate, why you're seeking it. And if all looks good and they think you might be a good candidate, then they'll move forward. Usually you have a pathway to surgery that you follow. And there's different things that you have to do. And this is just from our experience. Both mine and my husband's, we both had the same surgeon. We both went through the same place, of course, same insurance. And a lot of what happens during your pre-approval process or through your pathway process will depend on the insurance that you have, the program that you're in, your weight, different things. There's so many different factors, and it varies by so many. So do not think that this is a straightforward guide that this is going to happen. Everybody's process is different. This is just ours. So after the initial consultation, and he was, surgeon thought he would be a good candidate. At his highest weight, he was, you don't mind me telling people your weight, do you? His highest weight was 545, 540, 540, 545. My highest weight was 514. And by the time I sought out bariatric surgery, I was about hovering around the 500s, 490s, in that area. So you start your program. For us, we had to do nutritional counseling, because your whole way of eating is going to change after the surgery. You hear it so often that surgery is only a tool, and that is very true. It is only a tool. Your stomach does shrink in size, but you're not able to eat as much as you used to in one sitting, but you are able to eat continuously throughout the day, and you can still go into the thousands of calories if you're not eating the way you're supposed to be eating. You're not controlling your portions, and your tolerance for meals, the size and the portions of meals, will increase as you go through your surgery, or as you go through your recovery period. So it's very important early on to know what your portion sizes should be, how much you should be eating, when you should be eating, what you should be eating. So you go through the process with the nutritionist. You may have a couple visits. They might want to see you again in a month to make some changes, assess where you're at. And throughout this whole process, once the surgeon starts you on your pathway, is preparing you not only for the surgery, but life after. And some people are told you have to lose X amount of pounds. We didn't have to do that. All they said was you need to lose as much weight as possible. And by making the changes that they give you, you will start to lose weight if you follow those changes. For both of us, this is a lifelong process. This is a lifelong habit that we're changing, lifelong behaviors. So we did not lose a lot until we got to our liquid diet. A lot of it was trial and error, making small changes, switching from having pasta at our dinners to having spaghetti squash or having a low carb, high protein meal. And then slowly starting to do portions, but we didn't lose a lot because we're still eating a lot of volume, still eating multiple times per day, still eating out of boredom. So it's designed to help you prepare yourself. As far as the emotional eating, we had to see a psychologist or a psychiatrist. You have to go through the psychological testing to see if you are a good candidate as well. If you have eating disorders, things like that. I had an eating disorder. I have binge eating disorders as well as bulimia. I was bulimic for over 10 years. And I had already been going to a eating disorder therapist. So that was the only way that I was able to move forward because I already had that background and that foundation set. And with the psychiatrist, you have to take this long test. God, I think it's like 100 or so questions. And they're all questions about just assessing your mental stability in regards to making this lifelong change. And if the psychiatrist says you're good off, they're going to ask you things like, why haven't you made changes before? What's been your greatest barrier? And for me, it was, not having coping skills. I never knew how to cope with my life. My mother was 550 pounds. I grew up in an environment that supported obesity and overeating and unhealthy coping mechanisms, very, very difficult upbringing. And then in addition to that, having the PCOS and going through trauma, multiple traumas, and the food was my way to cope. And so going to therapy helps with that. But if I didn't have therapy, there's no way I would have gotten approved. I wouldn't have gotten approved more than likely because after the surgery, all that's going to continue. The surgery isn't going to change my mindset. The surgery isn't going to change what happened to me in the past. The surgery isn't going to change my upbringing. All of those are still going to be present. So if I don't have the tools to deal with that after the surgery, the weight will come back. I'll continue falling into those habits, or I'll do transfer addiction and I'll move to alcohol, alcoholic. I already had that set up. Thank you, AA. But moving to all these different addictions, because when you can't medicate yourself with the way you used to be you are used to medicating, you're going to find another outlet. So we both passed our psychologist, our psychiatry approvals. Rajan actually had to do an exercise approval where they gave him exercises to do. And then a month or two later, they came back to assess how he was doing, getting up and moving. With me, I was already pretty active. Not as active as I should have been, but I was still pretty active. So I didn't have to do that portion. And then also, our pre-surgery approval process was pretty quick. For me, mine took only 3 months. His actually took 6 or 7 months. 6 months. And a lot of that is each time you go back, if they don't see you're progressing the way that you should or the way they think you should, they'll keep pushing it back. Okay, no, we'll see you back in a month. We'll see you back in a month. And with me, I guess I was progressing a lot better, so they were able to approve me a lot quicker. So that's the whole process leading up to the surgery. Once you're cleared, it goes off to insurance approval. You get all your final sign-offs, your prior authorizations, everything goes through. It comes back that you're approved for the surgery. Next for us, we started our liquid diet, which was 2 weeks liquids, nothing over the consistency of milk. We could have thinned cream broths, broth itself is thin, thinned cream soups, broths, protein shakes, I think 3 or 4 protein shakes a day, lots and lots of water, but no solids. And one of the things, the difference between our liquid diets is insane, because my liquid diet, it was starting out, it was just very high processed, a lot of canned soups that were high in sodium, protein shakes were good, and a lot of canned broths, and it was just so high sodium, and I felt miserable. I felt horrible. Whereas when it was his turn to go through, I had my surgery in December. He's having his now in August. So 8 months later, when it was his time to go through, we pre-planned. So we had skim milk available. We had our protein shake spot. We made our own broths, where we just boiled the meat like you're making a soup. A really good soup, and I'll put up a recipe as well. Made a big batch of the broth, and we use that as the base of the different soups that we made. And we tried to rely the least bit on high sodium canned broths. And that was a good way for us, because the low sodium broths they taste horrible. They taste flavorless. So making our own was a way that we could control what exactly went into the broth, and helped us control the sodium and things like that. So his 2-week liquid diet was insanely better, miles better compared to mine, which is awesome. You can prepare for that ahead of time. And then we did the pre-op class. Most people have to do a pre-op class, and it just teaches you, it goes over what's going to happen the day of surgery, what's going to how your diet's going to progress after surgery, the whole surgery process. And then usually that for us, that was like a week before the surgery. And it's just a simple class. You get, your knowledge so that you're not taken by surprise the day of surgery. If your office doesn't offer that, that may be something you want to speak with them about doing that in the future. Because again, it's all about making it easier for the next person, which is why we do these videos. I want people to know about the process, and I want to be transparent. So after all that, the day of surgery is coming. We had a nothing by mouth order for, nothing to eat, no solids after, which you weren't on solids anyway, but nothing after 10 p.m. And that included liquids as well. The only thing he could drink was a little bit of water. And we have a high carbohydrate drink called Clear Fast, and they may give you Gatorade, which is a subpar supplement for Clear Fast. But what it does is it helps you, if you have the enhanced recovery after surgery, ERAS, if you're on that procedure, what that is to reduce the narcotic use, and help you recover without a lot of the narcotics. So the ERAS procedure, they give you numbing blocks in the stomach to help numb your stomach. They try to focus more on Tylenol. You'll get your stronger pain meds when you need them, but they try to focus more on managing the pain and other methods besides narcotics. And the Clear Fast also helps with, it doesn't help with the narcotic, but it does help with your recovery after surgery, because it's high carbohydrate and it's full of nutrients that you need that help enhance your recovery, like zinc. I forgot the other types of nutrients in there. And we drank that the night before and in the morning of surgery. And he also took a pill called Emend, which is a prescription anti-nausea. It's designed for chemotherapy patients to help deal with the nausea and vomiting that can come from chemotherapy. And he drank that, or he drank his Clear Fast, and he had that the morning of surgery before we left. And then it was time to go to the hospital. And just going to pause right here. A lot of people ask what you take to the hospital. It's an overnight stay. You're going home the next day. So there's no reason to bring a suitcase full of 3 outfits and all this stuff. We brought our basic essentials, our hygiene products, loose fitting clothes for when we leave. When I went home, I wore, I think, a skirt and just a blouse, just a really light blouse. And he has some sweatpants and a t-shirt, underwear, socks. I don't care how short I'm staying. I could be going for a couple hours. I'm still bringing a change of underwear. You never know what can happen. So if something happens, I need clean underwear. So underwear, socks, things like that. And I brought me, since I don't want to live off of vending machine food, I brought me some protein shakes and just some snacks, because chances are he's going to be up in the middle of the night, and he was at 1 o'clock. He was up. At 1 o'clock, I was up. You're not going to get a good night's sleep, because they're going to be coming in all night, waking you up, taking your blood, taking your vitals, as they should. And all of that actually helps prevent longer hospital stays. So it's making sure you catch anything early, making sure you're progressing right, everything's good. So don't plan on a lot of sleep, and don't overpack. Just bring your essentials. And even the essentials, we really didn't have to bring them because they have them here. But we still brought our own toothpaste and things like that. Our deodorant, and just all of our hygiene stuff. So just that little tip, don't overpack. You're only going to be there for a night. Go easy. And so now you check into the hospital, you go in, you go to patient registration. They make sure you fill out all your forms, confirm what you're there for. They give you the little hospital band. And we didn't have... our insurance is great. It covered it all. We have Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, if anybody's wondering. And it's not so much your insurance, your parent insurance, like your Aetna, your Blue Cross Blue Shield, your I should know all these. I work in insurance. All your big payers. It's not so much if they cover it, it's if the plans beneath them covering it. So asking someone, hey, did your insurance cover it? Yeah, well, I have Blue Cross Blue Shield. There are some plans that may not cover it. Under my plan, it was covered. I only had $100 out of pocket for the hospital admittance. Our insurance was great. So with that, they go over all that. They ask if you have don't panic. They're going to ask if you have a living will, if you have a will, if you have power of attorney. Advanced directives, because that's just anytime you're getting admitted for a procedure, you have to take those precautions, and they have to have that on file just in case, God forbid, something goes wrong. For example, my mother, when she was admitted into the hospital for her small procedure, it was just supposed to be just a small gastrointestinal procedure, and it spiraled out of control and couple weeks later, I'm taking her off of life support. Anything can happen. And so you always want to make sure that you plan ahead. So they'll ask you all that. Don't get freaked out. And then after you check in, go through all the paperwork and the administrative side, then you go to the pre-surgery waiting, where that's where you're going to be before the surgery, and that's where you're going to come out if you're not the patient. And I'm speaking as both the patient and the person with the patient. But everybody's going to go to the pre-surgery waiting, going to check in there. And if you're the patient, they're going to take you back. You may be able to, whoever's with you may be able to come back as well. I was able to come back into the prep area where it's just a little, it's kind of the opposite of the recovery room. I guess it would be the prep room, but I don't want you to think like I'm thinking operating prep room. But in there, that's where they make you wash again with the soap, the Hibiclin soap. If you didn't have that, they have the gold dial. We also had to wash with that the night before and the morning of the surgery. And then once you come in, they wash it again. And then change into your gown, get your IVs hooked up, and then it's just a waiting game. If you have a CPAP, make sure you bring that because you're going to need that. We checked in our CPAP so that after surgery, if he needs it, he can use it. I know I needed mine, and his sleep apnea was worse than mine, and he didn't need it right after surgery. Me, I couldn't breathe. I needed my CPAP. So make sure you have that with you. You don't have to bring the water. They have the water, or they should. Then the anesthesiologist came in. We met with them. They told us, what was going to happen. And throughout the whole time, you're going to be saying your name, your date of birth, all that over, confirming your procedure and your doctor. Just again, it's that extra layer of security. And then when it's time to go back, they take the patient back, or well, they might give you some meds first. They gave both of us meds first for, I think it was, for me, it was something to relax my nerves. I was nervous as hell. And then also anti-nausea medicine. You may also get a nausea patch that goes behind your ear to help prevent nausea. And then it's back into the OR. For me, he doesn't remember much. For me, went back there, saw the operating room, kind of freaked out. They put you on the bed or the table, and they I guess it was the anesthesia, but whatever it is, it felt like Tabasco sauce going through my arm, and then started feeling kind of woozy, and then they put the mask on, took 2 deep breaths. I was out, he was out, and then you wake up in the recovery room. Hopefully everything went well. And then after that, you get your room. If you're the person with them, they might call you into a consultation room, so don't panic. They might call you into the consultation room, let you know everything's okay. They don't give you the news usually out in public. So if you get called back into a consultation room, don't panic. I'm glad he told me that, because I would have freaked out if I was sitting out there and our doctor came and called me in there. I'm like, oh God, I'm dead. He's dead. I would panic. Who's going to change the litter box? Who's going to take care of these pets? I'm just teasing. But yeah, they do that. So don't worry if you get called back. Then once you get your room, which before you get the room, we were waiting. I waited for hours, both before the surgery, during, and after. We got here at 7 a.m. Surgery ran late. The person before ran late, so he didn't get back into surgery until 12:45. And I didn't come back to see. I have the hiccups. See him in his room until probably about 4:30. I have the hiccups. I really have hiccups. I'm so sorry. But then once you come in, they'll be alert first thing you will notice is gas pain. And it's not like you have to fart or anything like that. It's this pressure. It's crampy. It can be stabby. And it's just all here. They blow your abdomen up to help maneuver if you have I'm trying to think of if you have an assisted surgery where they use robot assisted or anything like that. Either way, they blow your stomach up to make it easier to move around and all that stuff, or your abdomen up. And when they remove it, they remove most of the air, but there's still some trapped in there, and you just gotta, only moving helps. Gas X, the Milacon drops, none of that helped me. Pain meds didn't help me because the pain meds did nothing for the gas pressure. It doesn't disperse the gas. So once you're alert, they want you up and walking. For me, that pain was enough to get me doing laps. Like, you think I was doing a 5K. I was up walking every chance I could get to try to disperse that gas. He's a heavy sleeper. He slept most of the time. He got up. He did 1 lap last night, or when he came back to the room because of the gas pain. And then that kind of wore him out because he did a long lap. And then he went to sleep, woke up later, probably at like 1 o'clock in the morning. He did another lap. But pretty much you're going to be sleeping most of the time. Yeah, I was up. So I guess it really doesn't matter. It depends on who you are. If you can sleep, take your chance to sleep. It's awesome sleep. Get up, move. And eventually, after surgery, the only thing he could have was ice chips. Just a couple ice chips, a spoonful at a time, taking it slow. Then a couple hours later, he progressed to water. He could have a little medicine cup of water. This is 30 cc's or 30 milliliters, depending on what system you use. All my people are in America mostly. So you got your fluid, and pretty much just 2 tablespoons. Fill it up with water and sip it. First instinct is to take it like a shot. You're not a party girl, party boy, so you gotta sip it, even when it's this small. And then getting up and moving, sip your water. And then I got started on protein early. He didn't start on protein until this morning. I got started the evening that I had my surgery. And they give us Optosource just because it's 8 fluid ounces and it's 12 grams per serving, but this is 2 servings. So 12 grams of proteins per serving. This is 2 servings. So there's 24 grams of protein in 8 ounces. So it's lower volume, higher concentrated protein. Whereas the Premier that I drink, that's like 11 ounces, 12 ounces or something like that for 30 grams of protein. So it's more volume. And this early in the surgery, you can't handle a lot of volume. So you got to get as much protein and as little volume as possible. So they gave us the Optosource. This crap's expensive if you try to buy it. I would love to get some, but man, is it expensive. And it's hard to find. But once he gets on this, he has to drink 2 60 cc's or 2 of these little cups of protein every hour. And again, it's sip, sip, sip. And then alternate with 2 of these cups of water. Sip, sip, sip. And that's every hour. Getting up and moving, getting up and moving. And then when it's time to go home, you should meet with your surgeon and someone from your medical team that comes in, and they tell you about the diet progression after surgery, about what they want you to do when you go home. Again, it's mostly move, 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 get up and move, get up and move. Not only does that help with the gas, but it also helps speed up your recovery by getting you moving, keeping your blood circulating, helps reduce blood clots. You're at risk for blood clots. So keeping you moving. The blood clots are the main thing. They don't want you to have blood clots because that is common after surgery. And just starting to get into moving and activity, not lifting anything heavy, and then sipping your water throughout the day. Sip, sip, sip. Your water, protein. That's all you're going to have. And then afterwards, oh, this video is long. I'm going to speed it up here. So afterwards, just real quick, once you go home, again, that's your process. You should have a 2-week follow-up with your doctor. They're going to assess where you're at. Then they might progress you to the pureed stage. Then after pureed comes soft foods. Then after soft foods come your solids in your regular diet. You might have different phases and how you progress. For me, it was 2 weeks on each phase. Do not try to advance yourself. I did that because my surgery was right around Christmas. So I had my surgery on the 19th, I think. And then it was Christmas or Christmas Eve. And out of all the years we have had Christmas in our family, we have never had fried turkey. Guess what they decided to have this year? Fried turkey. So guess what I did? I started out with a little piece of skin. Oh, this is good. Well, I have a food addiction. I can't stop myself. That's like giving me, I'm also an alcoholic. That's like giving me a little shot of vodka. No, I'm going to go off to the races. And I didn't binge, but I had just a little piece of skin. Then I had a little piece of turkey. And then I was in the emergency room that night. Why? Because I was in pain. I could have sworn I ripped a staple. Something happened. I was in pain. I was in pure pain. Don't do that. Follow your doctor's orders. Yeah, follow your doctor's orders. Don't be stupid. And pureed. If you're doing pureed, make sure you're doing pureed. If you're relying on convenience foods, be careful with that. And otherwise, convenience, I mean like canned soups, canned things like that. Watch that because your sodium is really high. And for me, I have high blood pressure. So that started to throw my blood pressure out of whack. So I went to make my own soups. And that's why we also made the own soups for him. He doesn't have high blood pressure, I don't think. I don't think he does. He doesn't go to the doctor. He hates going to the doctor. So, but he was never diagnosed with high blood pressure. So watch your sodium if you do have high blood pressure. And then after that, it's just maintenance, or not maintenance. You're in the losing phase. Keeping your diet high protein, low carb, and eventually progressing into make sure you're having more fiber in your diet. Plant-based protein, of course, is the best. You want to improve your body in a healthy way. You went through all this. You don't want to go into doing anything that's one of the traps that you might fall into with some of these after surgery diets is the whole, and I'm not saying keto is bad, but people get into this whole, okay, gotta have protein, gotta have protein, gotta have protein. Well, if it's not clean protein and you're getting all the grease and stuff, then you're gonna have those issues. So that's what I had. And so I actually had the gallbladder issues from the high fat content after surgery. So after surgery, probably about month 2 or 3, I was focusing on that protein, but it wasn't a clean protein. It was a protein that had a lot of grease in it. It was animal fats, things that, you know, increase your chance of having gallbladder issues. And we already have a higher chance of having gallbladder issues after surgery, just as a bariatric patient. So I actually had to have my gallbladder taken out. And a gallbladder attack is no fun. Everybody who's had kids says it's on the same level as childbirth. I had 2. Both of them landed me in the ER, and on the second time, they were like, your gallbladder's got to come out. So be careful if you try to follow any of these post-surgery keto diets. Be careful. Things that are high in fat, high in cheese, saturated fats, things like that, that can lend itself to Oh, just a second. Okay, sorry, nurse came in, gave him another protein shake, so he can go through, um, keep progressing. But yeah, that's the main thing. Definitely be careful with your after surgery diet. With us, it was very difficult when you have two morbidly obese people living in the same household who both suffer from food addiction, and one person had surgery and the other one didn't. Seeing him, he's been an awesome support source for me. And seeing him eat certain things, he would try not to eat certain things around me, but I mean, nobody's perfect. Seeing him eat certain things or wanting to have a meal with him, I started eating more than I should. I started eating the wrong things. That is difficult. And that's something that you're going to have to prepare for, is how you're going to deal with your significant other afterwards if one person doesn't have surgery and the other one does, or if one person is used to eating a certain way. And with us, we eat dinner together every night. Like, that's always been something that we've done. So it was definitely a change, and I'll go through that in another video. But yeah, you'll notice that you can start, if you're not careful, you could start eating a little more, going over your portion sizes. And a lot of that has to do with slider foods, things that are not bulky in your stomach. Or that don't fill you up, like vegetables and lean proteins. If you try to eat things like burgers, pizza, God knows what else, those are slider foods for a reason. They don't fill you up. And you get all the glorious calories from them. So yeah, be very, very careful with your after visit or your after surgery diet, and your doctor should have given you guidelines for what you should follow. For us, it's high protein, low carb. A good way for us to measure is our protein should match almost to our carb intake. Low sugar, high fiber. Constipation is another issue after surgery. Having ground flaxseed in, your protein shakes or anything like that, that's a natural bulking agent that can help relieve the constipation. And then also you might be on Colace or Ducalax or something like that, some type of stool softener, because if you are on pain meds, chances are you're going to have constipation. And then also your liquids will help relieve the constipation. Make sure you're getting in your liquids. But anyway, I just wanted to do a quick summary, let you guys know about the process so that it's not a complete surprise to you. If you're thinking about going through the process, for me, it was a lifesaver. My mother died at 550 pounds. If she knew about this procedure, that someone would operate on our size, because before that was always a deterrent for me. Nobody would operate on someone that's 500 pounds. And it was actually my therapist that let me know, no, there is a doctor that has operated on people your size and they're in your town. Go check them out. And that has completely changed my life. This is not the easy way out by no means. You still have to work hard. It's just like taking appetite suppressants. Yeah, that can help. But if you're still eating, a lot of us, if we got to this size, we're not eating because we have physical hunger. We're just eating. So appetite suppressants never worked for me because I wasn't hungry. I always ate. So, it's not a long-term solution. With this is a tool. It will work as long as you do your part as well. And really, that's all I have to say. Let me know if you have any questions. If you have a video that you want to see me do, let me know. And I'll be happy to do it for you. I just want more people to know about the surgery because, again, it can save so many lives. It saved my life. It could have saved my mother's life. It's, you know, my husband is on his way to a whole new life. Don't ever be secretive about your surgery. This is a blessing. People are not ashamed to say that they did Atkins or South Beach or any other diet. So I damn sure I'm not ashamed that I chose this option, because the life that I have now, being able to enjoy it, my only regret is that I didn't do it earlier. But I wouldn't have been mentally ready. Everything happens in God's time. But you have got to own this journey. You did it for you, only you. And maybe you did it for other people as well, you know, the people in your lives. But that should be secondary. You should be first. So yeah, good luck. Keep me posted. If you're in the North Carolina area, we do have a Facebook group called Charlotte Bariatric Support. Feel free to check out my blog, curvylogic.com. That's all about health and wellness and just my journey in general in so many different aspects of my life. Yeah, let me know if you have any videos that you want to see. And if you're on this journey, good luck. I believe in you. Keep me posted. I love seeing the stories, and I'll continue to keep you posted as well. Be blessed, folks.